Ushpizin, our normal guest in our sukkah. So we have our third Ushpiz this week. It is my pleasure to welcome Moussa Soomekh as our Ushpiz this week. Hello, Moussa.
Hi there, how are you?
Good. How are you? Um, why don't we start with this question? Moussa, where are you from?
I'm originally from Iran. I was born in the city of Hamadan. Hamadan is a Shoshanabira in 1931 and left Hamadan when I was about 8 years old, emigrated to Tehran, and I lived in Tehran for a few years. And then I went to Israel, and then I left Israel, came back to Tehran, and then I went back again to Israel, and then I went to Italy, and then I came to United States.
Why all the back and forth?
Well, the reason I left Iran is I used to be a member of Tudeh Party, which is kind of communist party in Iran. And at the Erev of the Moed, the government prohibited having any more communist party. They canceled it. We were working on the street and making our meetings in the street. And I was in charge of the information giving to the people to go what they do. And unfortunately, at that time, somebody reported us. I assume somebody reported us, and they got me red-handed. So they took me to the secret police, which was then I was about 16 years old. And I was there for 29 days. And unfortunately, I couldn't have any way to let my parents to know where I am. But they were nice enough with me. They didn't put me in the jail. They kept me in the offices of secret police. I slept over there at night. And during the day, I would help them with the paperwork that they're giving me with the offices that they do. And eventually, after 5 days, my parents and my family, they tried to search every place, hospital that could be, any places that could thought maybe I have been finding me. Unfortunately, they couldn't find until the 5th day, which I never forgive myself for that. That was the 5th day, they didn't know where I am and what I am doing and so on. And finally, my uncle that he was smart enough to go to, we knew that I'm minor and never put me in a jail. He thought to come to the secret police office and check the rooms. Maybe he'll find me over there. And happened, that's exactly what's happened. He opened the door and here is, I'm sitting over there working for them and my uncle is outside. So I know that he wants to see me. I came out, I told him I have to go to the bathroom. I went to the bathroom, he followed me and he told me, if you say anything, don't say anymore, just left. And he was happy enough to see me to go and report to family that he found me. So that's why they found me.
And then you said you were in there for 29 days. What happened when you got out? Did they just let you out?
No, it wasn't that way. My father has a good connection, so he found a person that he was very close to the man in charge of the secret police. I assume he gave them some money, some bribe, and after 29 years, in the evening, the police came and said the general wants to talk to you. I never had the idea what's going to happen. So I went to this general's office and I saw my dad, my mom, and the friend of my dad, who was friend of the general, sitting over there, schmoozing, smiling, laughing. So the person in charge of the general told me, his name was General Motamedi, I still remember his name, said to give a speech to me, you have such a beautiful family, the Jews are not involved in that kind of stuff. And he told my father, if your son promised me that he's not going to do any more inactivity, I would do this thing right now. I look at my dad, I said, yes, I do. So they brought my belt and whatever they just took from me the day that they took me, gave it back to me, and they released it.
And did you refrain from doing any more work with the Communist Party?
I did not, but well, 29 days that I was over there was enough time for me to know all this secret police that every morning coming, taking the job to do an assignment that you have to get. And I recognized them practically all the secret police people. So the first day that I came out from the home going to the school, to high school, at that time I was high school, and I saw two people standing outside and following me. They didn't know I recognized them. So they took me for 3 days, was this routine. They taking me to the school, coming back from the school, bringing me home. So the third day, I decided not to go back anymore home. I went to the secret police. And I said, I want to see the general. They sent me upstairs. I went to see him. Hello, hello. He thought because I promised him if I talk to anybody of those people, I come and report to him. So he thought maybe I came to give him some information. So I said, oh, happy to see you. What can I do for you? I told him, General, I am sorry to say it, but I came to stay here because I'm not going back home. He says, your parents crying, they begged me and I released you. Why do you want to stay here? I said, because when I was here, nobody was following me. But as I left every morning till time or every night to come home, say, police, your secret police following me. And it just made me uncomfortable. So he said, how did you know those are secret police? I said, I've lived with you for 29 days. And I saw them, they come, I work, as a matter of fact, I was doing some work for them. So he laughed and with the kind of the respect, I would say, said, well, really the Jews have a brain. Okay, go, I tell them not to follow you anymore. Then they stopped and.
Did it make a difference that you were Jewish? I mean, it sounds like he knew, but did it matter when you were in prison?
No, it wouldn't make any difference to him. I guess he was honest enough to say it that way.
Mm-hmm. Rewinding just a little bit, back when you were, 8 years old in Hamuda, am I saying that right?
Ramadan, right.
I'd love to know if you have any memories of being a kid there. And you said it was Shushan Habira, and I remember earlier today you mentioned that your mom had a connection to the tomb of Mordechai and Esther in Hamuda.
That's right. My mother was part of the Iranian Jewish in Hamadan, very active, and financially, family and the rest of their family, friends, they had enough financially to help to restore the certain degrees, not a big job, but certain degrees, restore the tomb of Esther and Mordechai. And she, whatever money they had in their organization, she gave it to the Esther and Mordechai restoration.
Um, I have a picture I want to show that you showed me earlier today. And I would love you to tell me where you said this was your home.
That's the house that I was born, and I was there right until I was 5 years old.
And that's in Hamuda?
Hamadan, yeah. This house belonged to the minister of the Qajar dynasty. He went with the king to France and he saw the house like this. He got the plan, he came and he built it for himself. They lived, his family, and lived, it was a summer camp for them, summer house for them. They lived over there about 15 years, and after 15 years, he passed away. The family sold the house, and my family bought it.
Wow. And that's you on the right in the chair.
So my brother, older brother, and I'm a little bit less than 1 year old.
Mm-hmm.
This must be 1910, 1911. That
was what year?
Well, picture must be taken in 1911.
Mm-hmm. Any other memories from?
On the left side is my dad, and on my butt.
I'll share it again so we can see it. So you said this is your dad?
Yeah, that's my dad. Next to her is my mother. And then the two brothers, the oldest one and the second one.
Mm-hmm. How many siblings did you have?
We were 9 siblings, 2 sisters, and 7 brothers.
And
I was number 5.
you were number 5 out of 9.
Yeah.
And did you all leave Iran? Did some stay? Did you all go to Israel?
I was the first one that left the family.
Why were you the first? Why not your 4 older siblings?
They, I think things happening sometimes is good to happen. If I would not have cut me, if they did not have cut me for the being a part of the Communist Party, I would have stayed in Iran. The reason I left because I didn't want to live anymore, and best time was the state of Israel established, and I decided to go to Israel.
Hmm. Hmm. Um, tell me about going to Israel. What year was that? Was that before Israel was formally
So 1950, I think it was June 1950. I decided to go to Israel, and I first didn't tell my dad. I went and applied for passport. When I went to get my passport, then they refused to give it to me because I still was minor. They told me you have to bring either your father or your mother. So that was the time that I was ready to talk to my father. My relationship, by the way, with my father was very, very special. I am sometimes I feel so guilty that among 9 kids that they had why he had what was the reason they was so close to me.
Hmm.
But anyway, so I know that I have to talk to him. I went to him and I told him the story. I said, I got the passport. If you don't come to get my passport, I will go illegally, because illegally was the Jews from Iraq came to Tehran and they were living in camp, and from camp they would send them to Israel.
Hmm.
So he knows that I meant it seriously. If they would not get my passport, I would go to that camp and eventually with that camp go to Israel. So he was very happy to hear that I want to go. We went to, I got him passport, and he helped me to all the way through until the day I left.
Hmm. And then you left alone?
I left alone, yes.
Tell me about that. I mean, were you scared? Were you excited? What was going through your mind as a 16-year-old, leaving your home for for
I
home?
was very excited. I was very sad that I'm leaving, but I was excited that the state of Israel just established 2 years before I left there. And when the last minute that I went to airplane to fly, it was the most difficult time in my life that I never forget. I cannot forget that moment. So then the plane left Tehran. We got to Tel Aviv, and they took us to the camp. And my expectation was that I'm going to see different country, advanced country, and so on. But when I got to the camp, I was shocked. I was very unhappy, unpleasant with myself. And in the camp, I met a family from Romania that they had one son almost my age. So I had to find a bed to sleep wherever I can find. So finally, this kid helped me to find. He said, next to us, there is a one bed empty. So I went with him and I got the mattresses and stuff, whatever I need. I went to live with them for the first night. And in the morning, I was, there was terrible, terrible feeling. I mean, there were languages, speaking attention with all different languages. People come to serve, come for breakfast, come for day. That was completely different situation. And I didn't want to stay in the camp. I thought maybe there is a way to get out of it. So the camp was wired all over on them, close to the Haifa, about 10 miles, I think, or 5, 7 to Haifa. I went up around the wire and I found a hole, some way to get out of the hole. I came out, I went to the main street, and I asked them, how can I go to Haifa? Somebody told me to get the bus. I took the bus, I went to Haifa, and obviously I was looking Iranian, nothing to be absolutely look like Israelis. Israel was short, and everything is completely different. And hard with the language. I spoke some English because I went to American college, but very difficult to communicate. So I went to the hotel and I asked to give me a room. They gave me the room. And the room had a balcony. The people were sitting also have a breakfast or dinner. So I sat over there to have a breakfast. And the couple sits next to me, close to me. They recognize me. I'm a newcomer. They start to talk to me, and I explained to him almost everything that I told you before. I was a Communist Party and blah, 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 blah. So they said, the best thing for you to do, go to the kibbutz. I said, well, how can I go to the kibbutz? He told me the name of the kibbutz is go to Ushpizin. The Gania, there are two Deganias, one Degania Aleph and one Degania Bet. Degania Aleph was the first Degania that established kibbutz in Israel. As a matter of fact, Moshe Dayan was born in the kibbutz. They had a member of Knesset over there, member of the Knesset was coming to, we came to home. So I said, okay, that's a place maybe I should do. I came back to the camp, I sneaked myself and went inside, and I told my friend, the Romanian friend, I am going and I will be back in 2 days. Because I had my suitcase, didn't have much in my suitcase. I had a soccer shoes, tennis racket. I thought maybe I'm going vacation. And that was funny for the custom when I saw it. This guy was thinking came this country.
I love
I
that.
said, yeah, I said, would you watch my bag? He said, okay. So I went to the Gania. I went to the Gania and I got there around 11:30, around 12 o'clock. So I said, I want to see somebody here. I want to come here to live and work. He says, I can't help you. Just wait till the manager comes. Then manager comes. His name was Elazar. Elazar, what can you do for you? I told him that I want to stay here and work here. He says, doesn't work this way. Where are you coming from? I told him I'm from Iran. He says, the best thing you can do, go back to the camp, find another 10 or 12 people. If you have 10 or 12 people like yourself, young people, young girls and guys, I'll accept you. But one person, we are not doing it. He was kind enough. He gave me a ticket to go back to camp. I went to the camp and I tried to very fast among the people that was in the same airplane with me and other people that have been coming earlier than us. So I made 3 girls, no, there were 4 girls and 9 guys, which myself will be 10. So we were 14 people. So he gave me also his phone number of the Gania. So he said, when you got 14 people, 12 people, more than 10 people, call me. So I let them over there, somebody to call the Gania and told them, your people are ready. And he says, okay, we send a truck in the afternoon, we pick them up. It's happened. At 3 o'clock, the truck came and we all took our bags and with the truck, we went to the Gania. And the Gania was really, really paradise. I did not know, told them any stories. I told them, if you live here all your life, you have to struggle to find job or so. Let's go, I tell you, I'll take you to paradise. Gan Eden, you want to Gan Eden, come with me. So they came. We were 3, 4 girls and 9 boys and myself, it was 10, 14 people.
Mhm.
We went to the Gania and we lived in the Gania almost close to 1 year. And then they had to send us to the army.
Mm.
Okay. I asked them to give me vacation for 24 hours. I'm going to visit my family in Jerusalem. So they gave me ticket and I went to Jerusalem. I found my family, old family that they have been living over there a long time ago. And they were very pleased to seeing me. And the day after, I walked to the street of Jerusalem and I saw a line of the people staying on the line. They're all men, young people, but no woman in it. So I asked, what's this line for? So the last person was on the line. He says, they are hiring police. I said, oh, that's right. Okay. So I stayed behind the line. By the time I got there, it was about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And I remember the name of the person was Samuel Fisher. Samuel Fisher was in charge of getting us to go to interview. So he made a measurement. I stand on the side. I'm 1 inch smaller than the size that they required. I told him, look, I showed him my ID and said, I'm a young boy and I have a chance to get that 1 inch. So he accepted it, let me go inside. And the man in charge of it asked question and that's it, hired me and said, okay, perfect. So gave me the chance to become police officer. So I went and stayed in Israel for to time that I was in Israel for about 3.5 years, I was in a police department.
Wow.
Yeah, that was the best
In
experience.
Jerusalem or in Haifa?
I said Jerusalem. Now I'm in
But
Jerusalem.
now you're living in Jerusalem.
That's right. No, no, I was living in kibbutz. Now it's from kibbutz. I am getting to go to be a policeman. So I got the honest to be a police officer in Israel, and uh, they sent me. I asked me, "What kind of police do you like to be?" I told them, "Anything you have, I'm ready to go." So the person who was interviewing me says, at this time was a cavalier, was a horse rider, army negro. I said, "Perfect. That's I love to do that."
Had you
So
ever ridden a horse before?
I had a horse. I had to in Iran. I had a horse, and especially in kibbutz when I was a horse, so a very perfect one.
Mhm.
So I got the horse. He hired me and sent me the horse, the department.
And in Jerusalem as a police officer, was it eventful for those 3 years? Was it quiet?
Well, I did actually I did not work in Jerusalem. The horse police department was in about 15 miles to Jerusalem. So I had to go to Hartu every morning, but they gave us a bed. It was perfect for me. They gave us a bed. They would give us a lunch. So the salary that I was getting was just left over. I could do anything with it. I wasn't any worry about. So I stayed there, and period of the time that I was in police department, I was very fortunate that going through several courses. First of all, they sent me to course of the police to learn about the police, well, 4 months, which was in Shfaram, close to Haifa, and then start to send me to different police departments, activity on the police, and finally I went to, and every year the police department sent one police to the army, like as SEALs, the most difficult type of the courses that they would, it's called Samalim Karavim. So I was selected to go to Samalim Karavim. And that Samalim Karavim was about 6 month course, was the most difficult courses that anyone, I mean, every person that immigrate in Israel has to go through this kind of courses. So I was fortunate to go to that course, and it became very, very successful for me to see it and having. At this time, when I finished the course and came back, as already 2 years I was in the police department. And then my mother came to Israel to visit me with my sister. She had some problem with her foot. So they came, I found a good doctor for them. They came to visit them to get the treatment over there. And when I saw my family, it was so difficult that how much I missed them. It
Yeah.
was, yeah.
Wow. Um, so at some point, you you ended up in the United States, and I'm almost shocked because this story is already so detailed, and we haven't even made it to the United States yet. So how did you come here?
Okay. Like I had a sister, she was going to college here in the United States. This is going to be back on 1960s or so, 860s. And when she graduated, she came back home and she had a girlfriend that she was living with, her friend. She asked her, if you allow me to come to your house, I want to come to visit you. I don't want to go to a hotel. So she went to a hotel. At that time, I already was grown person. I moved to Italy. I had a very successful business. So I lived in Italy. And at the same time that when she came to live in our house, was August. August in Italy is a completely vacation. That's the time that people are taking off. So every August, I used to come home to Tehran to visit my family. So when I came to my family's house, I found this young girl. So the result of it, we have a relationship, and I told her one day I surprise you. And she laughed, and she never thought maybe I'm seriously. And on her birthday, so I decided to go to America and surprise her. I came back, I went to Milwaukee, and result of that, we spent about a month together, and we got married. We went to Madison, Wisconsin. Rabbi Schwarzensky, a beautiful, nice gentleman. I mean, very old man, but a very, very sweet man. He married us and we left and we came back to Italy.
Mm. And after moving to America, at what point did you come to California?
Okay, we had three beautiful kids, and then we came to United States 1972, and in 1972 I had to find a job. The most important was the job. So I was walking in Boston, a street that look at the sign says Jewish Vocational Service.
Mhm.
And inside the Jewish, I said, my Jewish organization. I went upstairs and I told them I'm coming in this country. I have two kids and my wife, and I need help. They interview me and they find out that what are you doing? I told them I'm an expert on the Oriental rugs. They send me to the department store and they go over there, they interview you. I went to the department store in Boston called Raymond's, department store Raymond. And they hired me. They hired me to be as a salesperson. I started to be a salesperson. Didn't long time that within 3 months, I was the best salesperson among the 10 people that were on the floor. So
Is that what you were doing in Italy also?
that's right. That's right. Yeah. So I was very successful on the job that I was doing. I made enough money, probably as much with they paying commission as probably the president of the company. I was working 6 days a week, 9 to 5, 12 hours a day. And on Sunday, I would take my kids and my wife and we go to those houses that I sold them the rug to be, are they satisfied or satisfied, or if they need any help. That did help tremendously. And I became well-known salesperson on that department store. When I felt that I know capable and I learned everything that the buyer do, so I contacted the first department store called Gimbals. I helped the Gimbals and they told them that what I can do to the department. They were looking forward to see me. I went to the Gimbals. They hired me as a leasee, not anymore employee. They leased me the area and I paid them commission. That's the way it goes. If you go to Macy or any department store, the jewelry department doesn't belong to the store. This belongs to the outsider. I did this with the Oriental rugs and didn't long time that I was very successful with one store. They keep calling the department store came and by the time I got out of the business with the department store, I had about 82 department store and about 460 or 470 employees.
Hmm. Wow. Um, and when was that? When did you get out of that business?
Well, all the business I got, but I went through a very ugly, vicious divorce, and that was very, very painful. So that's ended everything. I was anymore, you
Yeah.
know,
And then at what point did you come to Los Angeles?
in 82. In 1982, I got this the department store in Los Angeles called Broadway. So the Broadway department store, they asked me to come because they knew all the department stores, they know the figures that I'm doing with the other departments. They asked me to come. I got a lease from the Broadway 1982. Yeah, it was June 1982. And as soon as I came, first thing I had to do, I became member of the Sinai Temple. So
Of course. Yeah.
the Broadway had about 86 departments all over California. So I got about 52 of them. And then I had in Detroit, I had Minneapolis, there's Chicago. It's a combination of few departments. So
Why did you become a member of Sinai Temple specifically when you came out here?
I came exactly the same month that I came on 82. When I came to California, the first thing I had to do, I become a member of Sinai Temple.
But why Sinai? Why not,
Before I used to come to California, I just visiting it as a visitor. I fell in love with it. It was a beautiful, beautiful. That's something that I couldn't find any other places that I had visited any other temples. So Mayor Finkelstein was at that time the cantor, and most probably, his voice attracted me to become a part of it, and I'm glad I'm not disappointed.
Mhm, mhm. At that time, there, I mean, that was just after the revolution in Iran, and so a lot of Iranians were moving to Los Angeles. But it sounds like it was different for you because you had already been in America for a number of years at that point. What was that like? Seeing the revolution from afar, and seeing the influx of Iranians to
It,
Los Angeles.
it was very difficult during the revolution in particular. I was very fortunate. I made a very good life. I have everything I wanted. And I had obligate myself to help those students that the parents are in Iran and they couldn't send the money. I did help a good part of those students or some people that they needed help. So it was pretty good satisfaction for me to do
Mhm. And now, um, how many kids and grandkids do you have now who are part of Sinai?
that. I have a 3 beautiful daughters and 5 grandchildren and very happy family. And uh, that's give me enough happiness that I shouldn't complain.
I think maybe before Moussa, before we sign off, I'll share one more picture. I'll choose one unless you had one specifically, but there's one that really caught my eye today, and I just want to pull it up so we can all look at it. Hold on. um, okay, here. um,
Okay, Rabbi Ivan is my favorite person.
yeah, will you tell us about this picture?
Rabbi, I think he came to Los Angeles then. That time when was one of the speeches that he gave. I met him over there.
Yes, and this is Abba Ibn, right?
Yes.
Yes. Why was he one of your favorite?
Because he was the most brilliant person, politician that Israel has, and never will be any more like him.
Mhm, mhm. And how did you get to meet him?
Well, or that party that we got for him, and I met him there.
Mhm, mhm. Wonderful. Musa, is there anything else that you want to leave us with? Um, a message, or it's just some last words um, for Sinai Temple as we go into the end of this holiday.
I hope that all my friends and members of the temple that listening to us and they knowing how difficulty we are going through with doing the best they can to help the temple not to suffer and be hopefully when all things goes well, we go back again to normal life.
I mean, well, Musa, I feel like I could talk to you for hours. I'd love to hear at some point all the stories about being in Israel, all the stories about going to Italy. So I'll put in a plug to come to Sinai Temple and find Musa and ask him to fill in the gaps here.
Thank you. It
So,
was a pleasure for me.
such a pleasure. Okay, well, tomorrow night we'll have another guest at 7:30. And Musa, thank you for being our Ushpiz and our virtual sukkah tonight.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Muadim Simcha.